yeah, the Dugu tongue.
Yeah, we're talking about Jack Teagarden and his influence in me. To me, I've always said that he took the trombone out of the circus and into the beautiful melodic instrument that it is. A lot of the early jazz players were really folk musicians in the best sense of the word, but they were not trained like at the Berklee College of Music or Cologne, you know. They were, as a matter of fact, many of them, this would be in Louis' time, never had seen a brass instrument before they got to the mainland here, because it wasn't part of the African culture. And they, back in the times they came to our country, there was a huge concert band movement in this country, which is a huge, that was the popular music of the day. The gazebos and the towns and all that would have a John Philip Sousa band playing, you know, with Arthur Pryor playing the trombone. Arthur Pryor was one hell of a trombone player.
Oh man, the Bluebells of Scotland?
Right.
Oof.
And now we're getting to Jack Teagarden, incidentally. We haven't veered away. Because here was the concert band movement, and here's the very first trombone solo ever recorded in 1901, April 3rd. And it was Arthur Pryor playing with the John Philip Sousa band, the Blue Balls of Scotland. And it's the funniest thing you ever heard now. I've got a copy of it, actually. But Jack Teagarden now think of this now, we're talking two different things.
Okay.
The biggest record in the country and a very small fledgling technology of recordings. I mean,
they're all playing into a funnel, right?
They're playing into a funnel, right? There's no such thing as a mic.
And the engineer was the placement of where they were in the rooms, not so much working the knobs.
They had to put Louis 20 feet behind the rest of the band because his sound was so large.
Oh, man.
That's a known fact.
Wow, I had no clue. Makes sense, though.
Yeah, that was Fletcher Henderson's band in the 20s. But now you're looking at, we're back in the turn of the century, and there's no such thing as a microphone. There's no TV. There's none of these things that we have. A camera? My God, that it can video us and on doing what we're doing
on our phone.
They haven't been developed, invented.
Yeah,
yet.
that I mean, what airplanes too, right?
That's right. Now you are in the same position as those guys were. Only you don't know exactly.
That's mind-boggling because it's exponential now.
Yes. Even I understand that.
It turned into a math equation now, where stuff is going rapidly.
Oh man, we better not go down that street.
Let's go back to Jack and Arthur Pryor.
Yeah. So Jack is now he was born, I don't know exactly when, but somewhere around 1912 in the vicinity of, say, San Antonio, Texas. He was born earlier than this. He was born into a very musical family. Norma was the piano
Who was that in his
daughter.
family?
That was his daughter.
His brother too, right?
Oh, Charlie Teagarden was one hell of a trumpet player, and would have probably had a bigger name had his brother been not such an
Jack Teagarden
icon, you know. Charlie Teagarden.
He could play though. He could play. I've heard him a lot.
He was Tommy Dorsey's jazz player.
That's right. They're on those albums together.
That's right.
Yeah.
So he was a great player. But anyways, here's Jack, a young Jack like yourself. He's growing up in somewhere around San Antonio, but he didn't like the concert band music and all this sort of shit. And he heard Arthur Pryor, and he was a trombone player. And he said, son of a bitch, nobody plays that fast on the trombone. And when you think about what Arthur Pryor was playing in terms of a small bore that was the size of a large trumpet.
Oh man, the slide was probably horrible.
Oh, it's probably like sandpaper, right?
Yeah.
And he's going, you know, he's all over the place, and Teagarden's going, whoa. All he's hearing are things like, you know,
that's so
he's
true.
not hearing, or you know, that stuff. Now, you hear that? That was doodle tongue. What?
Yeah.
Not a straight tongue? No, it was not a straight tongue. And the fact is, it was Teagarden who, when listening to Arthur Pryor, realized, listen, that the classical double tonguing style, right, was appropriate to move around quickly on the horn, but it was the wrong feel. And Teagarden didn't like the concert band music. He liked going outside to the black tents outside of town, where they would have the gospel meetings and hear some real music from the ground up, you know, right? And that's what he loved. And so he took tuku, 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 which is the classical double tongue, or taka, 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 if you're in an Alban book.
Yeah.
And he changed the T to D and the K to G, and went dooga, 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 dooga. I could take it. So.
Well, that's fascinating. I had no clue. I didn't know that Arthur Pryor was an influence on Jack. Well, I'm sure he was, because they were there at the same time.
It was the only thing happening.
It was the only thing happening, but
there were no trombone recordings in those days. Can you believe it? There was only one. And guess what? It was Arthur Pryor.
You're so right. You're so right. Amazing.
Yeah. So, Teagarden. That sort of stuff,
Man,
you know.
beautiful. Really.
Well, that's Jack Teagarden, and that articulation he always used. And then you had, in speaking of the history of trombone player, you remember the guy named Abraham Lincoln?
Of course, Abe
You're
Lincoln.
thinking presidential, aren't you?
That's what everyone's thinking.
Oh, wrong, right.
Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln was also a great trombone player, and if you watched Walter Lantz cartoons such as Woody Woodpecker in the old days, in the 30s, and heard all the great trombone playing and the far-out stuff that was done on those.
That's Abe?
That's Abraham Lincoln.
Well, that makes sense. He was out here in Hollywood. His picture's up at the local 47 Musicians Union.
Da-da-dum.
Da-da-dum.
That son of a bitch could play. He was doing multiphonics and all of that kind of stuff in the 30s for Walter Lantz cartoons, and he had such an influence on Walter Lantz himself that he had a cartoon done, a full-length cartoon of Jack Teagarden.
Wow.
No shit. It's really going to.
It's out there, huh?
Yeah, it's out there.
Wow.
And he's got another one on Woody Herman.
Nice.
No shit.
Yeah.
It's really fun to look at if you
is
ever
really cool.
old Walter Lantz cartoons, you know. Anyways, Abraham Lincoln loved Jack Teagarden, and he always tried to imitate him, and along with me and hundreds of other trombone players, thousands, trying to imitate Jack Teagarden, and none of them successfully. And the reason why they were all single-tonguing, you know, nobody was double-tonguing at a slow tempo. 2,
That's
3,
serious
4.
restraint.
Yeah. Yes.
Hello, you've been watching the adventures of Phil Wilson and Paul the Trombonist. Welcome to our video series. This is video number 2 of our series. Thanks for watching and subscribe for more. Interviews, master classes, studio sessions, original material, and standards.